Shujo Tsubaki. This anime has been banned on every level possible on every continent on Earth. There is not even a single frame that we can talk about in this video without getting it taken down by YouTube or the channel getting permanently banned. However, what we can talk about is that the story loosely follows the tale of a girl named Midori, who, after losing her father, starts working as a flower salesman to help her ailing mother. But she too soon dies, leaving her in the world alone. She takes refuge in a circus whose master she met while selling flowers one night under the bridge, and this is where the nightmare begins. In the very first seconds, Midori steps into the circus premises. She is greeted by all the performers, but that is just the first 5 minutes of the movie. What follows is a tale of untellable horror that has every element of human malice ingrained in it. The film was created by Suehiro Maruo, who worked on it alone for 5 years straight, as no one was willing to help him create a monstrosity. Overall, the story is a portrayal of a cycle of abuse that has no winners, just losers. Excel Saga. It is an anime based around a secret ideological organization that plans world dominance. But this anime, unlike most others on the list, is available to watch on most anime streaming sites, except for its very last episode, named Going Too Far. The episode was purposefully made not to be aired on Japanese television at that time, and the director, Shinichi Watanabe, made sure of it by making it 1 minute longer than the broadcast length available at that time, which is the reason it's only available on DVD. It contains all kinds of vices, such as child abuse, pornography, and other acts that might be considered offensive to a variety of groups. Overall, the anime achieved what it was meant for all along, which was a satirical take on the Japanese community as a whole. However, much like the title of the last episode, the events that transpired in the anime could be considered the anime going too far in terms of testing the limits of the Japanese censor board. Puni Puni Poemi. Puni Puni Poemi is actually a spin-off inspired by Excel Saga, with most of the people on the crew being the same. And although the name and cover art of the anime might sound childish, girly, and fun to watch, the reality of it is grimmer than you think. Puni Puni Poemi explores the tropes of young characters' sexuality a bit too closely for most of the censor boards to digest, but along with its nudity, explicitly in terms of sexual scenes, and the ever-hated harem-inspired theme, it makes it a no-go for most teen and young audiences it claims to target. Thus, the anime has a permanent ban in New Zealand. However, there is a huge catch with the anime here. Unlike its predecessor, the Excel Saga, Puni Puni Poemi was unable to gain the same level of notoriety, and hence it slipped through the eyes of many censor boards across the globe. The low watch rate of the anime actually helped it save itself from a permanent ban across the globe. Kite. This anime revolves around a teenage girl named Sawa, who was orphaned in her early teens due to her parents getting victimized in a gory and brutal double murder crime. Sawa grows up to become an assassin and disposes off of her targets in a somewhat similar brutal fashion that her parents suffered through years ago. Mainly bullets that make her target's head explode. But this isn't what got this anime banned. Akai and Kani are other characters in the anime who are detectives and legal guardians of Sawa. However, the relationship between Sawa and Akai becomes somewhat inappropriate as Akai gets sexually involved with Sawa before she turns of legal age, while also creepily gifting her crystal earrings that supposedly contain the blood of each of her parents. For this specific reason, and the strict child abuse laws in Norway, this anime was permanently banned in the Nordic country. The series is filled with other child assassins as well, who do a multitude of criminal acts before the curtains fall in, after the movie's 53 minutes are up. Although it was unable to get past the censor board in 1999, a strong case can be made that the mature audience of the 21st century can handle the flick in all its glory. The Urotsuki Doji. Legend of the Overfiend series is one of the most controversial anime series to be aired ever, and this is if you even consider it to be an anime. Because in today's terms, what could define the series is 2 words: ultra-violent hentai. Most of these animations were always made to be sold on DVDs and were never meant to be broadcasted to an unsupervised crowd anyway. However, sometimes they were heavily edited to just get the story bits together for airing. But even among the whole series, a particular entry by the name of Inferno Road had gained immense notoriety due to its content, which was akin to pornographic films of that era. With a story set in a bleak future where flesh-eating demons have turned their wrath towards humans and are putting them through every kind of torture possible, the only hope left for humanity is the demonic Lord of Chaos. In such an environment, where death looms around every corner, penetration must be the least of the worries of censor boards that grade these films. Hetalia, Axis Power. This anime was actually banned in South Korea, but not due to its gore or any other kind of problematic material in its plot. It was actually due to the misrepresentation of the culture of Korea itself. You can also take this as one of the first attempts, and a very poor one at that, of cultural appropriation in the animated medium. You see, the anime was supposed to be a comedy among a group of characters that represented a country. However, every character was based on stereotypes that the Japanese believed to be true. For example, the friendship of the German, Italian, and Japanese characters was just a bad take on the Axis alliance that worked together in the Second World War. Whereas the misrepresentation of Korea was a bit out of line, given that the Japanese Imperial Army literally rained down terror and misery on the populace of China and Korea back in the early 20th century, and it made the jokes leave a rather nasty aftertaste. Thus, the only real course of action to reply to the unwarranted humiliation was to ban it from getting released at all. Record of Ragnarok. It is one of the most famous anime on the list. However, it was only a matter of time until it came under scrutiny because of its use of gods of various mythologies as fighters in an arena to decide the future of humanity and whether they would live or die. However, the ban came in from an unlikely source, and that was India. You see, one of the gods depicted in the anime, the member of the Hindu Trinity and the god of destruction Shiva, was heavily misinterpreted. Shiva was shown to be a brash and warmongering individual, which does not explain even a fraction of the character depth that the Hindu mythology describes him as. The Shiva sect of Hinduism reveres the god due to his immense wisdom and knowledge. Also, according to Hindu mythology, Shiva is the progenitor of yoga and all its forms, as it was he who passed it down to the great sages for the betterment of society. This is the only ban on free media that has come from India, as it could have caused a bit of restlessness among the masses. High School DxD. Well, I don't have any reason to say anything other than the fact that this anime is straight up. There might be a little plot to the whole storyline with the MC exploring the world of different mythologies in it, saving the cute girl from an arranged marriage, and quite a number of badass scenes that make the anime fun to watch from time to time. But, as I said, this anime is straight up a hentai without any kind of penetration and full upper body nudity. The sole character of the MC revolves around him getting to do something with the you-know-what of almost all of the female characters, and there is no doubt why this anime is banned. Although, much like other anime, this has always been available to purchase on DVD but has quite a bad reputation in front of the ever-censor board. Well, if we talk about the dealings or goals of the anime itself, it actually lands in a very gray area. On one hand, the anime actually has a plot and a bit of a compelling story, but the story itself is driven by the MC's one and only desire: boobs. And if you're someone who actually agrees with the MC, then this anime is totally for you. However, purchase it through legal means via a DVD, as there is a chance that it is banned in your country. Kinnikuman. At a first glance, Kinnikuman is actually just like any other shonen anime, with its main focus being on the central plot lines of working hard, becoming stronger, saving the world, and all sorts of hero tropes, which, for the most part, works actually pretty well to drive a compelling story. However, there is one character in the entire series that spoils the anime for fans across the world due to its ideological implications, and that character is Broken Jr., the good Nazi. And although the character stands for everything opposite of what the Nazis stood for, he still wears the very recognizable Nazi military uniform with a Hakenkreuz, aka the inverted swastika, right at the center of its chest, due to his father's involvement with the German military in the Second World War. The character of Broken Jr. got Kinnikuman single-handedly cancelled in France. Even after all the censors were made to erase his Nazi heritage in its American release, the black spot was still so deep that Kinnikuman wasn't able to release its figurines in the United States. Later on, when Nintendo did tie up with Kinnikuman for its other ventures, Broken Jr. was highly censored or left out of projects altogether. Death Note. This anime is considered to be one of the greatest anime to ever exist, and still acts as a gateway series for people all around the world to join the otaku clan. However, Death Note was able to get itself banned in China due to its very mature tones and take on the world. And with China being a dictatorship, one man taking down criminals with no sense of accountability was never going to get past its censor board in the first place, which is one of the strictest in the world. And it is also a well-known fact that when the merchandise of Death Note was released, children started writing the names of their teachers and other people in their lives to take out their frustrations, which was actually fueling their homicidal tendencies. Thus, attempts were made to ban the anime and manga in many parts of the world. One such notable attempt was made in Albuquerque, New Mexico, to get the manga banned due to the rise of similar events among young children. Despite all the flack, Death Note remains one of the best anime series to ever be made, and if we ignore a few adult undertones, it conceptualizes the rottenness of the world pretty well, because as you know, a character once very rightfully said, "The world is rotten."